Joining me now from Capitol Hill is CBS News congressional correspondent Nancy Cordes. Nancy, a fast-moving story here. I'm sure your head is spinning the same way that probably a lot of our viewers' heads are spinning. So what's going on there on Capitol Hill? What has changed in the last few hours other than Mr. Trump's tweet?
Well, you really don't see something like this happen very often, Vlad. It was less than 24 hours ago. The House Republicans took this vote behind closed doors, one of a series of votes they took on potential changes to the rules that govern the House for the next 2 years. And a majority of those Republicans felt that this Office of Congressional Ethics needed major reforms, and so they voted yes. Well, they were not prepared for the avalanche of criticism coming not just from Donald Trump, although that did turn out to be the nail in the coffin, but from Republican groups, Democratic groups, their Democratic counterparts in the House who just saw this as a real head scratcher and a complete gift on a day that everyone was going to be paying attention to how House Republicans plan to lead over the next couple of years. And so they decided to change course. Republican leaders basically led the way. They called this emergency meeting in the basement of the Capitol. They told all House Republicans to gather there right away. They didn't have much time because the House was about to go into session. And the House Majority Leader, Kevin McCarthy, essentially made the case, look, we are getting criticized from all sides for this. Yes, we do need to reform this office. No, this is not the way to go about it. Let's go ahead and change course now so we can get on with building a reputation for doing things that the American people want. And House Republicans relented, and those who voted for the measure last night changed course today after they really had a chance maybe to think a little bit more about what the changes meant. They weren't necessarily very steeped in exactly what this office does before they took that vote. And so just like that, they've now kind of gotten rid, for the most part, of this self-inflicted wound, and they'll move forward with passing a rules package that does not include that amendment.
Nancy, you talked about how Democrats are sort of standing back and watching this unfold, but I'm curious, were there any Democrats who were part of the House that actually would have liked to have seen changes to the Congressional Office of Ethics and just didn't like the way it went down?
Yes, there are Democrats and Republicans who feel that this office has too much power in some ways, that anyone can essentially lodge an anonymous complaint against a lawmaker, and that investigators at that independent watchdog will begin looking into it, and that members from both sides have had to spend tens of thousands of dollars defending not just their actions, but defending themselves in the court of public opinion, because often this information gets leaked to reporters, and so they find that that their ethical conduct has been called into question, and at the end of the day, sometimes some of these anonymous complaints turn out to be baseless. And so there is a bipartisan belief that some changes could take place, but Democrats didn't feel that this was the way to do it. They felt that the lawmakers who are in charge of the Ethics Committee in the House could go ahead and sit down and figure out what changes needed to be made and work that way. And second of all, they certainly didn't think that doing it in this fashion, just at the start of the 115th Congress, was a smart idea for Republicans. And by the way, Paul Ryan, the Speaker of the House, didn't think so either. He argued to his own members last night, this is not the way to go about this. And he was really caught off guard because House Republican leaders, I'm told, did not expect that this would pass, but it just turned out to be an emotional issue. Some of these Republican lawmakers heard tales of woe from their colleagues and perhaps got a little ahead of themselves, voting to really strip away a tremendous amount of power from this independent watchdog, which everyone acknowledges just looks bad when you look like you're trying to gut the very entity that is responsible for policing your own behavior.
Welcome to the age of Trump. CBS News congressional correspondent Nancy Cordes. As always, we thank you, Nancy.
You're welcome.